Good evening, everyone. It's the 18th episode of Lord Stabbe, the Physician. I was a little hectic recording the last episode, so that was a couple of hours ago. I've had dinner. Hopefully this one will be a little more focused. Although, it might be that people actually like it when there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, so we'll see. Now, the big revelation last time was that it's not enough to just drop one trap on a renegade. So this is a bit of an example of how, and this is true for a lot of what I do in Cultist Simulator, I am very much a product of having played this game since its early alpha. And I have developed a number of habits about how I play this game, and it's not necessarily optimal. Now, the thing is that it's a little bit like when, you get messages explaining like how the game works. Like, to me, I think a lot of this stuff misses the point. If you want to, if you just want to understand how the game works mechanically, Lyra Zyder's done some wonderful work with the Frangiclave in terms of just listing out every single card and how they interact, and it's a really helpful resource if you're into that. And of course, even if you don't want to use a community resource like that, you have the cards are just a bunch of JSON files or some rough equivalent of JSON. So it's not necessarily that hard to understand what's going on, but of course, if you focus on just being told what to do, in my opinion at least, you're missing out on a very large part of the experience. And so in my own particular case, I've never really been that bothered by the fact that when it comes down to it, some of the choices that I make are not necessarily quote-unquote optimal ones for the game, when they're instead maybe in the worst a reflection of how I used to play the game based on the incentives I was given. And this is before painting changed and before the research upgrades went through. And in this particular case here, the wound system, the last time I really had to deal with a renegade was when with the old wound system, where there weren't such things as scars. I'm pretty sure there was a time where you just straight up lose someone, and that would apply to your own followers as well. But of course, I've put myself into a little bit of a tricky situation. With Spencer Hobson, we used to have 5 variations on someone who could create problems for us, and so we're doing what we can to get rid of them. In this particular case, bring them into the cult. But we've also been talking about how there are limits. So once I get a pigment for an edge painting, I'll have two artifacts that I can use to bring people inside of the cult. But outside of that, I don't know if there's really anything else that I can do. So there are a couple of important details, though. So Zachary is the least likely to wind up in the cult, and this is not just because they've got resentment, that they dislike me, but it's the fact that they have a scar, which means they are also closer to being taken out, compared to anyone else. So Natalia and Douglas are probably the 2 best candidates for adding them into the cult. In terms of preferences, these are not necessarily the people I would choose, but this isn't about, who I choose. This is more about what is expedient. So I will probably try and recruit Natalia before too long. I think I'm willing to give up the Furious Sliver. As nice as it is to have a 12-power edge artifact, it's also very clear that, I'm not giving up a whole lot by surrendering that. I do have level 12 ingredients. So I've got 3 Scaptodon Fags I can work with. I have Eldridge, Rose, and Victor, who are level 10. And there are very few situations in which I can say, oh, well, if only I had that 2 edge, that would have made the difference. So one of the things I'll be working on is recruiting Natalia and then eventually Douglas. I'll be looking into eliminating Zachary and Connie. If I have other options for recruiting people, so much the better. I'll try and bring them in. But in this case here, I'm assuming that we're probably going to try and eliminate 2 of our rivals, or simply ascend before them. So of course, on that point, we're going to achieve ascension by doing what we've always been doing, by going into different regions, ransacking them for various goodies. And we have reached the end of the in fact, I've doubled up. So we've got 2 Tombs of the Shadowless Kings. Now, I'm not really going to take this second location right away. It'd be a shame if, one of the renegades took it, but it's just the simple fact that there's 4 events, so that's going to require 4 funds, which, as you can see, is quite an ask. That's basically 2 work periods worth just to do an expedition, and then, of course, there's the probability that something fails. So I'd much rather put that money towards the next level, which is found through Vagabond's maps. This also means that going up into the Peacock store is a much higher priority than it used to be. And of course, that also raises the question for me, is that something I want to do right now? We've got 39 seconds of the Consciousness of Radiance, 14 seconds of a Season of Visions. I think probably the way I would like to handle this right now is we'll leave the Dream slot open for a little while. I'm going to let this decay into Fascination, and then we'll neutralize it. And then we'll move into going up to the Peacock store and trying to work our way around. Actually, you know what? That's not what I want to do. Because it doesn't really matter one way or the other, because I'm probably going to go to the Red Church. Yeah, no, we'll get rid of the Fascination that we have. I was thinking that I might go to the Worm Museum, and that way I could neutralize the Fascination through the Worm Museum, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to the Red Church next. I've got a notebook beside me, so... Right, nothing then. Oh! I was a dummy. So, with Saliba, what I should have been doing was getting a... God, I did it again. Church of the Bright Edge. Seduce a stranger. A sufficiently persuasive disciple can probably lure a susceptible companion back to us. So that's going to take another minute. A knowledge challenge, so we'll add the erudition here. Again, we don't have glimmering, and we're very unlikely to get it, although the fact that Saliba's doing something does potentially give us a chance. Alright, mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. So another season of suspicion coming up. So I suspect in this case, we will... The notoriety is going to attract a new weary detective. And we will... Oh, I'm safe for now. The meddler's attention must be elsewhere. A relief. Lucky me. Okay, we're practical souls, strong in forge. We'll probably be fine. So let me just double check. In this case, the high passes, we're going to want forge for that. So it's forge or winter. But it doesn't really help us with anything else. So, wrong one. Tristan. Our forge skills represent plenty of expertise. We'll almost certainly make it through. Okay, so we'll spike the fascination right away. So once we have a prisoner, I may get another snare. Or actually, probably recruiting Natalia's best. Now that I've committed to getting past to reducing the number of renegades, it's probably better that I do that sooner rather than later. So here we need to wait for a glimmering before I can work on that. Of course, we've got other works that we're going to handle first. Okay, so I want to be careful about my dread. City is rife with journalists and detectives and other meddlers. How long will they leave me in peace? Back to the Institute. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. So, if I recall correctly... So we've got enough moth... oh, actually, we don't have enough edge, but the moth will be fine. So we've got enough for the watchers. We will need to add grail, and we will need... it's lantern or knock. Okay. Well, I'm still going to add the funds because there's always the danger that we lose someone. So I'll hang out there. The minion returned empty-handed. All right, unlucky for me, but we're going to get them to... Yeah, I'm going to make one more attempt with Saliba. And then we'll have to make another snare. My studies have been stymied for now. So I'm going to actually, I think I'll translate both as the sun his course and a second glory. I'm going to translate both of those before I read them, because I suspect both of these may produce dread. I can, however, go to the Peacock Door, because as long as I don't go to the War Museum, I don't need to worry about dread. The Peacock's Door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the Peacock's Door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. There's always someone who doesn't understand or who understands too well. This troublemaker may seek evidence of my activities to share with the authorities. This gentleman would much rather be left alone with his pipe and his illustrated London news. But no, apparently some conjurer of abominations has to be hunted down like a mad dog, and apparently no one else can find the time. It's because we already recruited all of them. All right, let's get the translation done. So, as the sun his course, Joel of the Bridge, a retired soldier and sometime tollkeeper, wrote this epic poem about Alexander's famously inexplicable decision at Issus to withdraw from the war with the... I'm so bad at pronouncing this. Achaemenids, and his subsequent return to Macedonia. Look closer, closer still, closer. Keep looking, closer. Now close your eyes. We'll add the extra funds now, and then I believe the rest of the time we'll be adding people to handle either the curse or the door. Okay, and we're minding our manners with the dread. The fact that we have a season of sickness isn't the worst news, for the simple reason that I am... how do I put this? So knowing that I'm going to have to mitigate the effects of illness, this gives me another reason to use the study verb rather than read the book. So again, it'll delay my progress by a little bit, but it will do so in a helpful way. Out of the night, my follower is whispering words that they sometimes might mean. Even if their victim knows the words are lies, they may not care. Okay, so there's an unresolved ambiguity, which is not as exciting to me as it used to be. So what we're really trying to go for here is sort of vagabond map. Oh, obviously Port Noon anecdotes would be the best, but I don't believe you can get those directly through the sorry, I don't believe you can get them through the Peacock Door. So let's try the Red Church. Okay, well, we got a fascination. Mind you, that's not all that bad, seeing as we will... what we're going to do is we're going to take... Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied. We're going to have a season... the Season of Despair is going to be a problem, but we are potentially reading some books that will generate dread, so this will actually allow me to tranquilize... the dread will tranquilize the fascination, but both of them cancel each other out. So... Last night, I visited the Red Church, where the Grail conducts its feasts. The light through the stained glass windows was all the spectra of red, and the names of the Grail labored to birth a new desire which had until today no name at all. I am sticky with the memory of it, and this morning, everything I see is tinted ruby. Okay, so at some point I would like to repair the mirror, but we're not quite ready to do that. I think I'm going to leave the dream alone for now, seeing as I've got a couple of other things to do. Their bewilderment is our opportunity. We will pass in silent secrecy. Our expedition plans for the next challenge will consume... Actually, okay, 2 and 2. So here, let's prepare for the heart or grail from the curse. So Rhaenyra, please give us a hand. And my minion is returned, attended by a prisoner rendered docile with delight. Looks a lot... Okay, oh, wait, sorry, I was going to say, it looks a little bit like Tristan, but closer it does not. Alright, we also got some money for our trouble. So, I think I said I was going to take care of the snare, seeing as we are a little... I think we're actually a bit late on taking care of this, but no Season of Ambitions coming up, so that's fine. And this is the same text as before. Okay, so we won't worry about the as the sun is course quite yet. Let's go for a walk, and I think I'm actually going to translate and read A Second Glory first, because it would seem to me like a winter book is more. So if I mean, Edge definitely can, but I would say out of the two, it is probably more likely that the winter book is going to directly produce Dread. Of course, we do have a Season of Ardors coming up with Enid, so the need is not quite there. Actually, I mean, I do have a fleeting reminiscence, but I am still going to try and use the... I'm going to try and get rid of my Dread through more efficient means. There must be a door here, but without lantern or knock, we can't uncover it. Alright, so I was asleep at the switch. We're probably going to wind up having to spend a bit more money on this. I should have thought this through a bit better, but I can't really do anything about it now, so we'll just take our lumps and hope for the best moving forward. Once we create the snare, I think I'm going to try and recruit Natalia Dragon, but it depends, you know, if I need a prisoner, if I need a few other things. I can definitely think of a couple of things that would override that need. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shutter and a shower of dust. Well, we got a bit lucky there. So once the sickness comes out, we will be able to deal with it. Let's translate A Second Glory, a work by Juse, a priest and hermit scholar. With the study door, the work begins. All I need now is time. My lover and I contend in the spaces above and beneath the flesh. I must match their intensity. Together we are brighter. Alright, the expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So we've already got the grail that we need. It's really just a question of... excuse me. Really just a question of passing the curse. You only get one try at it, so it's possible that we may lose it. Now, we were talking about recruitment, so as far as the talk verb is concerned, there's really nothing for me to do. I could go, I could use Neville or Spencer to try and burgle to get some extra funds. I could try and get another prisoner. There's a number of things that I can do with the talk verb, but right now I think reducing the number of people who can potentially be upsetting my plans is the right call. So as reluctant as I am to give up the Furious Sliver, our goal is enlightenment. Our goal is not some kind of edge ascension. And so we need to focus on our path. This is definitely a case where I have let other concerns keep me from the most direct path to my ascension. So let's get Natalia in the cult. This one is ready to join me if I give up a tool as a mark of my respect. You must include one tool, which will be permanently lost. Again, if we try the meteoric bullet, unfortunately, it's I don't have enough edge otherwise. I actually genuinely do not know how I would do this any other way. It seems to me like you are limited. Like essentially, you can't use just any item. You're limited to using certain items to bring yourself up to the appropriate edge level. So, actually, okay, I can see a slight way that this might work. If one of them were to have 2 edge wounds, then they would have 4 edge, which I believe would be sufficient for the meteoric bullet. So now that there are wounds, there is actually the possibility. But then, of course, they would have to give up, that would be a very, very long-term approach, because of course you would have to give up. They would have to give up their resentment, which clearly is not ready. Okay, this fascination is going to go away on its own, so my plan for getting rid of the dread really isn't there anymore. But that's fine. Enid prefers to close her eyes rather than look at me. She says it hurts to look. She says it with such longing that I can't take offense. And looks like we have a fleeting reminiscence here, so we didn't get contentment that we can sort of pop open. That is a small problem, simply because now if I generate dread, I don't have anything to get rid of it with, so... We have prepared a knife for this moment. Natalia follows unquestioningly, but for now, she follows. Sorry, never follows unquestioningly, but for now, she follows. So, another forged disciple. Got a lot of them, actually. So, as always, the next question is, what do I want to do with my talk verb? Unfortunately, I don't have any commissions to turn in, so talking about commissions isn't an option. I can try and get another prisoner, but this is probably a bit of a waste at this point. I can't do any other recruitment. Probably doesn't hurt to have a split between the two. Feels a little silly to do this, but it actually seems like now might be the time for me to get the Heart followers on their missions again. Prepare the text for study. All right, so I always hate doing this because inevitably a season of despair comes up, but let's see what happens. The priest Jusith celebrates the extirpation of the gods who were stoned, those hours who preceded humanity. Jusei engages in an apologia for the destruction of the hours. They were old, they were cowardly, they were vile, and their time had passed, and it was the shining destiny of humankind to seize the house through glorious battle. Alright, season of visions coming up, so it could be worse. And I think we will go back... Oh, sorry, I should have repaired the glass. That's fine, we can... Ooh, this might not be a good idea right now, actually, because I could generate fascination. We'll roll the dice. Our power was stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. Treasures lie before us. Alright, so the notoriety that was going to go away on its own turns out not as big of a deal. Jusith recounts how the hour called the Seven Coils was slain in battle by the Colonel, how the Grail devoured the hour called Tide, and how the egg unhatching fled like a coward. He's quite vituperative about the egg unhatching. He warns darkly against its return. So I suppose the question is, do I want to generate another dread, seeing as we don't have a way of getting rid of it right now? Well, let's give it a try. Alexander meets at Issus with Darius, King of Kings, for 3 days and 3 nights. On the first day, the two men trade threats. On the second, promises. On the third, secrets. Darius tells Alexander something so shattering he retires to his tent to consider matters of strength and matters of mastery. Okay, season of ambitions coming up. We've got a prisoner. Only thing we could do to improve our state would be to somehow make an edge painting to get rid of Douglas, but that's not realistic, so back to the Red Church. Okay, so... The Vagabond's map was in the Worm Museum. I lost track of the other one, so... but in this case, I've got my notebook. I'm going to keep it with me all these times I record, and I'm going to see whether or not the alternating approaches is a thing. I mean, I could also keep track of like what items I'm using to record, or to enter, but that's a little nuts. My notebook's not that big. When one dreams of the Red Church, one hears the voices of the Grail's names, the Thirstleys and the Ivories and the Lovelies and the rest. Not all Empauzi are women, they might be heard to say. The hungers of women run no deeper than the hungers of men, but a mother is never far from her child at its birth, and that is not always true of a father. Come closer, and we'll show you what we mean. Okay, so when I can, I would like to have a chat with Valsine about repairing some things, but for now, I need to find a way of getting rid of my dread, or at least outlasting it. No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. So it's obvious we want to start repairing some items. Let's get Valsine to repair the mirror. It's kind of a shame to let the incarnates, decay into something, but I don't really have a whole lot else to do with it. I don't really have a whole lot to do with it right now, so. Doing okay finances-wise. In fact, so much so I might consider... So I did originally say we weren't going to go back to the Tombs of the Shadowless Kings, but given the fact that my alternative is to follow up on some Vagabonds maps, maybe I want to reconsider. So good work, Pope Clifton. Thank you, Rhaenyra. Thank you, Tristan. Raw profits not long for this world. And we got Libitic Grains. So regrettably, this is not it's not the sort of thing that we can turn into a painting. More Witch-Kissed Oil. And the Glassfinger Toxin, which probably is... I mean, we could use it to get rid of the Weary Detective, but there's no possible way that... There is actually... I don't know if you've read the text. Someday I will show what happens if you try to poison a renegade. It is actually very amusing. What is within without? What is without within? A poison sacred to the votaries of the Menascate. And then the Libitic Grains. Labites are the youngest of the Lionsmith's servants. When rendered to powder, they retain their potency, but not their beauty. So yeah, I suppose the question is... There's nothing that I got... So obviously the draws from the random location... They're not random locations, but... it's not fixed what you get from these locations. So I guess the question is there something that I particularly need here from the other? This, by the way, so when I'm talking about approaches to the game, this is actually not a bad example about where if you were very focused on the efficiency of a Cultist Simulator playthrough. And again, I don't mean to sound too disparaging of that approach to the game. What I mean to communicate is it's not something that I necessarily, am too focused on. But clearly speedrunning is very entertaining, at least for a subset of people. I don't mean to, I'm not trying to suggest, every all right-thinking people enjoy speedrunning or something. But you will probably notice the way that I handle rituals is very sort of loss-averse. So you will notice me very frequently use things like influences and, dread itself is an influence. I will use a summon to sort of sacrifice itself, but I am very rarely going to do something like give up a meteoric bullet, or, I'm not going to give up lore. I definitely don't sacrifice people in order to be able to bring these summons. And of course, one of the reasons for that is that the summons themselves are temporary. So in the case of influences, those are going to go away. If you don't use them, they're gone. And so, I don't necessarily think this is a terrible way of handling it. Obviously, there are some. So if I were to lose either one of these Winter Disciples, that would not work very well for me because I would have to find another way, which is entirely possible. Made in the Mirror, for instance. I need to find another way of getting winter influence for those times that we need it. But what it does translate into is situations where I have things like, when am I ever going to use the Cinnabar Amulet? Why do I need 4 Iotic Essences? Why do I need 4 Bitter Black Salts? I wind up having sort of this pile of stuff in the storage room that I may one day use. Even when it comes to some of my follows, right? I haven't really used Slee for a whole lot. I don't think Sylvia has been used for anything. In these particular situations, it's quite common for me to, wind up with a number of things that can in fact be used as part of a ritual, but because there's no timer on them, I wind up not using them. So one perfectly viable approach to this game is not to take advantage of the Mansis, not to just keep spamming the stag door or whatever until you get an influence that you want, but rather to take advantage of some of these items here. So, this is basically a Callagine for me, right? In the case of the heart, I'm pretty sure the Witch Kissed oil would be enough to get a percussivant. I don't even need some kind of, disposable knock. I can just use a follower for that. Well, I could also use the lore, but generally I use the lore. Even the lore itself, right? I've got a few bits of lore which I'm not going to use. I'm clearly not going to try and take a Mansis glimpse. Okay, actually, there's nothing clear about that. If I'm desperate, I will actually use this Mansis glimpse to get me that last level of Lantern lore. I just think there's better ways of me getting that. But this is just sort of an example of an alternative approach, which is by no means... I don't at all mean to suggest that this is some sort of a lesser way of playing. You have a lot more certainty with these non-perishable items. But my tendencies has definitely been to focus a lot on influences. And of course, the drawback there is just that I close myself off to using so many otherwise useful rituals. So didn't want to make too big of a deal about that, but I thought it was worth mentioning. But what this does mean is that when it comes to something like the Tombs of the Shadowless Kings, I kind of need to ask myself, well, what am I trying to accomplish by going there, right? Yes, I may lose the raw profit, but why not just follow through with a Vagabond's map and actually go somewhere that will get me a book that I need as opposed to somewhere else? So that's what we're going to do. The river, wrote the sage Mech in the Book of the Centipede, runs through the sands out of myth and into legend. This is the place the centipede was born, they say. The sands of which Mech wrote hide perilous curiosities. I also kind of wondered, if we go, Vagabond map. Uncover secret locations in the lone and level sands. If I recall correctly, the wolf mausoleum or whatever it was called, I believe the last line before it says nothing beside remains. So I'm wondering if that is the introduction to sort of the last named location before you head to the lone and level sand. I'm probably making too much of it, but I definitely feel it's hard to see a game that contains the lone and level sands having an alignment with, or a quote from the same material. I just don't know if it's explicitly making a connection to the next location you'll be visiting to. All right, at dawn on the fourth day, Alexander announces the sun has his course upon which he returns, and so do I. He returns to Macedonia, executing 2 of his captains when they dispute his decision. He brings with him the names of a blind god and a rite of sacred betrayal, for, Joel opines, without betrayal there would be an end to war. So, the colonel... By the way, for some reason, I never thought that the colonel was blind. And the Rite of Rebel Striving, which of course we've already had. So, study-wise, if I get a Glimmering, I can use the Forbidden Epic, or I can try and level up an Unresolved Ambiguity, which would require a Fascination, I believe. Yes, or alternatively, an HQ with a library, which really I probably should have gotten on sooner. If I proposed to learn anything, I wouldn't be reading sentimental literature. Alright, so Connie is heading after a location potentially, or getting rid of the weary detective, we'll see. Looks like they're actually, yeah, they're lying in wait. I think I'll just let the raw profit decay. still in hiding. What exactly are they up to? Okay, new location. We have got Lagoon's Tomb, a low, slope-sided rectangle of mud brick in an obscure fold of the desert. It is not remarkable to look at, but Lagoon was counted among the immortal long, and no robber has ever breached his tomb. So on its own, that implies certain things we should bring. Lagoon's Tomb will be difficult to find in the desert. We must navigate by the stars. Its door has long resisted the assaults of tomb robbers. We must bring what force we can. There will likely be a curse. We must be prepared for it. So we'll refresh the snare. So happy to have the Wild Ring Mirror, but we've got other priorities right now. So Eldridge, would you be so kind? Sentimental literature. So this is going to produce restlessness, which I either need to paint away or find some other use for. But I do have my glimmering, so while it's not the most important improvement I can do, it does clean up my board a little bit. I suppose I could go to the... I could go to the Peacock store. I'm not sure. Well... No, I'd still be going... Yeah, we give it a shot. Alright, what are we up against? We've got a warded door, got desolation, an immense and tawny furnace barely contained by its horizons. At night, a chilly wilderness of stars. We must go carefully with forge to shape our way or grail to secure us against thirst. And finally, the dry soul curse, which requires heart or lantern. So we've got the heart. We've got the forge. Seems to me like that's kind of the ideal loadout. So Tristan can give us a hand. We'll add an extra funds after that, and then we will add a heart follower. So I think the best thing for me to do with the restlessness is just simply paint it away. So we'll do 3 passion, and then we only have 1 notoriety. This should have an impact. So the main reason behind the 3 passion is to try and get rid of the staleness. It's not critical, but it would be nice. My rival has been up to some kind of mischief. The Suppression Bureau may take note. Alright, our forge skills should keep us safe and lead us through the baking rocks to the green places. We'll almost certainly be fine. So we'll add the funds here now. We'll also add Colors of the Night because we do have a little extra money. And finally we will use our Glimmering for our intuition. So I may pay for... I may pay for my medicine, we'll see. So I don't mind my manners as far as the fascination is concerned. Okay, well, definitely don't want to prompt that. So the Vagabond map was in the Worm Museum before, so we'll try the Red Church again. Okay, so that had a Vagabond map. So I'm going to cross out... I'm just going to do a simple cross out and... So again, this I think I did make a more explicit effort to try and understand the way this works. And while I did have some regular patterns in other parts of the Mansis, there seems to be something else that's driving the trips to the Peacock store. Now, this doesn't mean that it's completely random. There are probably things going on in the background of the game. I mean, first of all, it could be that there is a very deterministic system, but it's a complicated one that I don't understand. It's also possible that there are certain conditions in the game. So, you know, for the simple... I guess I put it to you this way. If you have a wounded follower, you can kind of safely ignore that wound until you have a certain season. So it's absolutely fair to say that certain seasons will affect the game, but it's not clear whether or not those seasons have any kind of effect on the the Mansus, right? The Mansus is its own place, and it'll make a hell of heaven, a heaven of hell. No, the Mansus is its own place, and it will, it's going to. There's always stuff happening in the descriptions. The fact that you're not there constantly doesn't mean that this place is remaining static for you to just come and plunder it. And so it would make sense that there are different things going on. You're going to have different experiences. And much like this world, the Suppression Bureau is going to be more or less active on a given day, and they may or may not notice what you've been up to. It would sort of make sense that sort of there's this current in the Mansus as well. But of course, there's no way for me to know that. I don't have some, massive log in terms of everything that's going through. So I make the best inferences I can with the information that I have. And in this case, I'm just treating it as if it alternates between the two because it's lined up rather well with my experience, and I haven't recorded enough data to find something that's essentially I just need one situation where the alternating patterns don't work. But because my records as of late, and I don't have the original thing I wrote down, because they've always been relatively short, I could just be particularly unlucky. It's a little bit like, when it feels like certain things always come as a result of an action. There are no guaranteed rolls in Cultist Simulator. There's always the chance that your 10 or higher influence will fail, and there's always the chance that your low influence will succeed. It's probably fair to say that just because I've gotten particularly lucky on the rolls doesn't mean that that's some overall rule present inside the game. I saw the Red Church again last night with its pews of bone, the stained glass in shades of ruby, the golden altar that beats like a heart. Night, the names of the Grail gathered to speak of the long who'd sworn off the pleasures of the bedchamber, say between man and man or woman and woman. They still pay the tribute of delight, an ivory said. They do not bear fruit, a lovely said. If Forge and Sun had only joined, a thirstily lamented. Then they fell to gossiping of the long in the house of Leith and their deeds in the desert. I remember it still. So a couple of repair jobs for Valsine when we can find the time. And I think we'll wait. I'm going to try and go out for a jog to get rid of my affliction. If I can keep some cash, that would be best. Okay, good work on the snare, Eldridge. Just trying to think if there's anything else I want to do with the talk verb. I think repairs... Well, getting another prisoner wouldn't hurt, but I think I've got 202 seconds, so we can probably go for another repair job. Recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. Okay, I hope this means that the overexposure is going away, but it looks like there's two there, so... Got a contentment. Okay, yep, it's gone. I'm not sure why there was a second one there, but... I'll take it. There it is. Is that it? You have resolved an intuition challenge. So at some point I will upgrade the unresolved ambiguity. At some point I should probably move the headquarters to Moorlands. The library is definitely very helpful, and I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't have an open soul. So actually the sanctuary's technically... So I only get to use the library once. Yeah, we are really not equipped for... So erudition's fine. We would use the library here. Yeah, I guess I could put my passion into it, but if I do that, I can no longer do a 4 passion work. So that's a pretty big sacrifice to make. 2 challenges, 2 funds, we're good there. Forge, we're fine. And Heart or Lantern, well, clearly Heart. So Clovette, if you please. Now I understand. So the fleeting reminiscence will protect us from any fascination worries. No dread to speak of at the moment. In 13 seconds we can start getting some vitality. And then I do need to start thinking about getting a replacement prisoner. We will almost certainly shatter this warded door. Again, we've already paid, so we just wait it out. And give them the bronze Spintrea. Still going back to the Institute. It's nice to have a big stack of money. So let's study health. Long walks kill cobwebs. We still have 92 seconds, so we should be fine with the dream slot, although if we do wind up having to get rid of something nasty, that might be a little more difficult. Actually, that's probably going to create complications with the prisoner. So, 46 seconds. I will try risking it. I don't like risking it, but doors have two purposes: to open and to remain closed. Today, this door remains true to its second purpose, so we are going to have to spend more money. Let's get... So, because of the prisoner situation, let's get Stabbe on a backup. So I've got 32 seconds. Okay, so in 32 seconds, add 60 to that to cure the affliction. So that's 92.8. We've got 110 on the hapless prisoner. So I need to be very careful with my timings, but we're okay. Season of Ambitions would be very welcome, though. No such luck. They always know which one to go for. Alright, our expedition plans for the next challenge. We will add the funds. Again, I gotta be very careful with the timing. This is just me being cheap, but again, the thing about the physician is that you are comfortable, but you don't, like, you kind of don't get everything. You 2 funds a turn. One of those is going to be covering your rent, basically. So, you know, in practice, it's a surplus of 1, and essentially that means you can kind of like fail. It's like in 1 turn you can fail an expedition test, or you can, you know, you can pay for medicine, or you can, but like you can see how that adds up, right? And especially if you measure the cost against the commissions that you can be writing or the summons you can be doing, it's actually quite easy to get into into a situation where you're suddenly, you know, you've got a good stable job, but you're actually kind of running short. So if you go on holiday all the time, I suppose it's possible to run out of a doctor's salary. Out in the night, my followers whispering words that sometimes they might mean. Even if their victim knows those words are lies, they may not care. Okay, Season of Ambitions coming up. All the more important that we have a prisoner. In fact, I might be willing to lock up a pawn if it comes to that. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. All doors must open, as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. Alright, no need. My minion has returned, attended by a prisoner, rendered docile with delight. Thank you, Stabbe. It's the same one. How do you get out? Alright, let's get... I'm going to try a repair... Now, I don't like taking risks. Well, I do like taking risks, obviously, but let's try a snare. Rivals are cautious. They don't prowl the streets like hunters. To defeat one, we must prepare a trap and await our opportunity. Alright, the sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Words contain knowledge. Now I contained it. It's a little like theft, a little like feasting, and a little like the progress of an infectious disease. So this was originally to try and move up on certain types of lore, but I might be otherwise occupied. We'll see. We can study passion, because I don't think there's anything else I need to be doing with my study verb right now. I am going to go back to the Institute, although we are at a point where I might want to consider doing some commissions. And then finally the question, what do we do with the hapless prisoner? Well, in 33 seconds we'll get the Season of Ambition, so clearly they will no longer be with us. So in this case, we'll try and turn this into something useful for me by going through the spider's door. The spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world. And the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. I'm probably going to need to use my work verb to resummon the Callagine and possibly the Percussagant as well. So I want to try and time things accordingly. Part of the reason for I've actually been going back to work, actually, but the talk verb should be available because we are rebuilding a snare, and I've already got a prisoner, which will be hanging around for a while. Excellent. So it would have paid off if I sacrificed one of my followers. So this means the 5th mark. Time alone in a quiet room with a living mind. That's all I need. We're strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against this curse. The key word being almost. These are the ones that always make me very nervous. And as always, we go through the Mallory. The imperative appetite might be nice, but not enough. Actually, if I recall correctly, this... maybe not fascination. I think if there's the... I feel like there was... No, hang on. There were 2 different outcomes with the same original. But there is the danger we get fascination here. Hey! Now that's unusual. I don't think I've ever seen 2 secret history. Clearly it can happen, but... Last night in the Mansis, I visited the Mallory, from whose hammers and crucibles one does not emerge unchanged, and for 9 beats my heart ceased while it entered the fires of the forge, and the passions of the forge entered into it. I woke with the dawn, and its poor divided colors inspire memories of the forge's passion for the sun, of the vagabond's curse, of the grail's deep longing. So many half-memories. So, certainly helpful for leveling up, but we already have 3 Vagabonds maps, so that's not going to be something that happens anytime soon. I'm debating on whether or not I should... Let's get a commission in. So going for a high level of heart, just if we can get the extra... excuse me, if we can get the extra vitality, so much the better. This may be useful for a commission. And study-wise, oh god, just keep getting stacks of erudition and glimmering, I guess. I've drunk the light of their mind. It thrills and fills me. The marks brighten in me. So more erudition, and we have the 5th mark. At the 5th mark, the light may leak out whatever... Sorry. At the 5th mark, the light may leak out wherever the skin is bruised or frayed. And now the skin is beginning to hang loose on my body as the process gnaws at my flesh. I'm very thin now. I am always hungry. I've always really liked the descriptions of the changes. They're different for each of the ascensions. Well, our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. So good luck. Well, it does say almost certainly, so I don't know if it counts as good luck or just things working as they're supposed to. But either way, I'm happy we got the result we did, and we are going to send Saliba out to get another prisoner. I mean, we could just try and get an edge follower to capture the weary detective again, but it seems to me like Saliba is a little more reliable on this front. Excuse me. No surprise that they took the only notoriety that was on the, or sorry, the only reputation that was on the board. And I think I can get away with one more commission, but I do want to make sure that my work verb is available for I want to make sure that it's available for what am I trying to say? I want to make sure that it's available for the next summoning. Okay, so we need an HQ with a library or a rarefied mind or fascination. Okay. I think the time has come for me to move locations. I know I've done this before, I'm pretty sure I need to talk. We'll find out though. So for lack of anything better to do, we'll read the sentimental literature again. I mean, I could upgrade the Forbidden Epics again. That might have been a smarter choice. Well, having 2 glimmering on the board isn't bad. Lagoon's End. In the central chamber, Lagoon, the once immortal Long, lies peacefully naked on a sandalwood bier. He is perfectly preserved, a slender, dark-skinned man in excellent physical health, but at our approach he crumbles into blackened flakes like fallen leaves. Objects glint from the remains. Okay, Season of Despair coming up. I want to be a little careful. I am certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So while I am summoning... I think it might make sense for me to try and resummon the Callagine first, although the Percussagant will be shorter-lived. I think I can do both, but... no, we can't. Alright. In the central chamber, Lagoon, the once immortal Long... Oh, sorry, we already read that, so... Oh, interesting. No, here we go. We find a pocket watch, a book, a quantity of Algerian currency, all from our own era. He must have come and gone many times from this place before he resigned himself to his final rest. On the back of the watch, we see engraved the closed eye of the long society called the Obliviates. Okay, so good work, Clovette. We've got a notoriety. Good work, Tristan. We've got a Callagine, a Percussagant. We've got Azoth, so this is high-powered knock... ingredient. Ah! I thought I had worked this out. Okay, well... I guess for consistency I should do it this way. This is such a terrible way to end the broadcast, but I'll just try and get it out of the way now. We're adding a 4th column just specifically because of Natalia Dragon. Oh well. The one thing it does let me do, though, is bring this back to the original distinction that I wanted, which was the more like long-term stuff to be on top, and the some of the more like the ingredients and the pigments to be down below. Another time I might order them by power, but I'm not going to do that here. I guess maybe putting the paintings on the top might be nice, but again, I want it done right now. I don't want it. I don't want like a whole song and dance. Why did I put the hallowed polo? Oh, probably because I was running out of space. Because it doesn't really matter which order these go in, but... Alright. Slightly better, and well, definitely better as far as use of space is concerned, but I'm terrified that there's going to be another lantern item that arrives. Holy Stimulant, faint traces of an enigmatic substance spilt in the commission of an ancient crime, tightly sealed in a glass ampule. Who will remember the barber's son? The Voyages of Furnisham of Oriol. We'll read that when we translate it, because I'm probably wrapping up soon. The Atlas of Dreams, and the Alcapurine Shears. In the north, there is a city of great wealth, where dwelt a protector of the world. One day he fell silent. These shears were used to take from him first his hair, and then his fingers, and then what remained. Okay. Seems to me like we want to take advantage of the Vagabonds map right away. And do I want to lock in my decisions for... Well, okay. We'll resummon the Percussivant for starters. A minion is returned, attended by a prisoner, rendered docile with delight. So, Callagine, please get rid of this evidence. So when we can, we'll turn in the commissions, but other priorities right now. So... I'm a little reluctant to do this, but I think I'm actually going to upgrade the Forbidden Epics. Just because I've got so much glimmering and erudition right now that it'd be nice to take advantage of it. And then, I mean, this is just going to be, it's going to be a location for us. So it's, Secret Histories. It'll eventually be a location for us. So there's not quite the same urgency as if, let's say, it was a high-level Lantern lore. But the most important step would be the summoning the Percussivant. Oop, I keep forgetting. We've already got the person. The person's being sacrificed. So, the Percussivant, merciless and merry, heart will bring it, edge will constrain it. I suppose at this point we take a look and see if there's any influences that we don't like, but we don't have any dread or anything like that. So, hopefully we do not need to worry about a restless summon this time around. That is the one risk of this approach, which is you either run the risk of the thing getting loose and wounding or killing someone, or you, or you lose it. You don't have the ability to get it again. I suppose I could go to the stag door if I was particularly worried about it, but we'll save that for another time. So I'm feeling a little bit better about the progress on this one just because it's a little bit more... So the previous run, we lost some... I think we lost both passion and reason. We had a whole bunch of stuff that sort of went on, whereas now... we had progress, but it was sort of lumpy progress, I guess, for lack of a better term. Here, it's a little bit more clear that we've gotten some wins. So we've now got 2 renegades which have been brought into the cult. We do not yet have the pigments required to make the painting, which could be our last... Again, I don't remember what the instruments are, but the only ones that come to mind are ones that we've already given up. So in this particular case here, it could be that we can only bring in Douglas and that's it. Certainly with Zachary and Connie, we are, we're in a state where there's not a whole lot that we can do to... the actions that I am about to take with Zachary and Connie will make them very difficult to get rid of. And it'll make it very difficult for them to want to join the cult. But I'm kind of committed to that because the likelihood of having a season of ambitions coming up where they, say, okay, let's bygones be bygones. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to just wait on. So our approach here, if we can eliminate Connie and Zachary, we take it. If we can at least inconvenience them, so much the better. We've effectively removed the threat to our locations. We still want to be mindful of them, but we do have 2 locations now which they can try to ransack, and we're always going to be laying traps for them there. And then our goal right now, we've already got the edge that we need. So at this point here, it is really a matter of trying to get that... to get the final ritual done. So I believe you do not necessarily... So there's one ritual which will make things considerably easier. Considerably easier to to achieve your ascension. But I believe you can do it with any of the rituals. You just need to really have all your ducks in a row. And I actually don't know if it's possible to do that as a member of the Church of the Bright Edge. So that'll be something that I discover. But that's kind of the goal right now. Even if we still have the Renegades running around, we really just need one more Season of Ambitions with a prisoner to hit the 6 mark. And then at that point, that will at least unlock the level of intensity that we need in order to achieve the final goal. So it's a little bit like we were with the previous Grail run. We sort of now see, like, we can kind of see the goal in the horizon. It's not a straightforward path. We don't have the materials that we need, but we're certainly kind of closing in on it. We're getting a clearer and clearer idea of what we need to do. But I don't want to make this as long as the last one, so thank you very much for watching. As always, your likes, your subscriptions, your comments are always appreciated. I suppose even the dislikes, although people have been very nice about those. And again, I'm assuming it's because after an hour, people are probably going to have decided that it's not their thing. I will be back next week. As always, it's Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30. You can always turn on notifications if you want to know when a video is uploaded. But until then, I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you in the next one.